Hello everybody. This video is for the Caveman Club. What we're going to do is I've sent over a model to everybody to be able to do, and here's how we're going to do it. So the first thing you do, if you need to know how to import a model. So here's the model. We're going to double click on it and we're going to start the import process. So it's going to open up your Vectric, whichever, whether you have Aspire, you have desktop, or any of the other ones, Pro. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a single-sided job. I'm going to change the size of my job to 12 inches by 12 inches. And my wood, we're going to use 3/4 of an inch thick. We're going to set our Z0 at the material surface, and I'm going to use the left lower quadrant for the datum position. And of course, since we're using a 3D model, we need to keep this at very high. If you hold this down, you can get a choice. You want to make sure it's very high, and then you're going to say OK. Now it's going to bring in the model. So as you see this red box here, it needs to be inside here. So you're going to come over to this side here, and you're going to hit center. Now it's brought it in. Now it's fit inside this red box. Now, if you want to change the size of the model, you can change it right here. You can change it to, let's just say, we're going to change it to 12 inches. 12 by 9. We're going to hit apply. And now it's fit inside your project. So we're going to position it now. And we're going to take this bar and we need to drag it all the way down to the bottom. And then you have to make sure you're discarding data below the 0 plane, and you're going to hit import. Takes a second or two. Okay, so here's the model. You can see it's inside here. Now, with any of the newer versions, all you need to do is you need to click on left click to activate it, left click again, and then you get all of these extra things that you can do with it. Down here, this is the thickness of the model. It's 7.923. Okay. If that's not going to fit in your piece of wood, you can alter the size right here. You can, let's just type in 0.75. and hit, and now just watch the model and see what happens when I hit OK. It just shrinks it down just a little bit. Didn't lose much of anything. You didn't lose anything, so we're going to keep it there. So we'll keep it at 3/4 of an inch. So now if you have an inch thick wood, you have some room to work with. So now we're going to deselect outside, and now we have the model. What I like to do is I go to 2D view. Here's my model. Now I'm going to bring this model back down to 10 inches. So I'm going to come over here and change the size, and we're going to change it back to 10 inches. Okay? And hit OK. Now we're going to go back to here, and we'll see the thickness of it. It changes. Now we've got a 6.24, which is good. That's fine. So now it's going to fit inside a 3/4 inch piece of wood. So we're going to take this model. I'm going to go into 2D view, select the model, and create a vector boundary around a component. It's hard to see, but there it is. So now we're going to use that vector. So now I'm going to go over to my toolpath side. I'm going to go back into my 3D view. I know the vector is highlighted. You can see it. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to hit set. This is going to help us make sure we have all our settings correctly. All right, I have a 3/4 inch piece of wood, left lower quadrant, material surface. Now, as you see, the model is the light color. The dark color is the remaining wood. Do you want, it says gap below, it's 0.1296. So just about 1/8 of an inch under the model. So we know the model is 0.62 thick. If you leave it like this, it's going to actually be 7.2 because it's going to add an extra, or a little bit more. it'll make it about 0.75. You don't really want that. So what I like to do is I like to also, unless you know your wood is perfectly flat, like you've run it through a drum sander or a planer, if it's just rough cut and it's not perfectly flat, you have no idea. So what I do is I will set this gap above at 0.01. What that does is that the bit will start this a little slightly deeper into the wood. That way you're not going to get any flat spots on your model. It's going to be nice and the highest part of your model, if I tilt it up, the highest part of the model is the frame. So if you didn't do that and it wasn't even, you might have some flat spots and it wouldn't be round here. So we're going to keep it that way. We're going to hit OK. Now I'm going to do a roughing pass. I'm going to go to my roughing pass. I've got the woodchuck, which is my roughing bit, and I'll show you the edit. So we got it's a 1/4 inch diameter bit. I'm going to do a pass depth of 0.5. I'm going to do 0.75 or 75% step over, 22,000 RPMs, and I'm going to run it at 100 inches per minute with a 50 inch a minute plunge. So I'm happy with that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an offset, a boundary offset. Sometimes you can change this to a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch. I have it 3/4 inch. I use 3/4 of an inch because your collet is almost 3/4 of an inch. It's maybe a little bigger. But if for some reason you're using a really thick piece of wood, like let's say 1.5 inch piece of wood in your model, you're carving it, but you need to carve all the way to the bottom to cut it out, you need a very long bit or you're going to bottom out your collet. So what I like to do to eliminate that issue altogether is I'll do a boundary offset of 0.75. And then your machining allowance is 0.04. This is how much the bit will leave for your tapered ball nose to do. And we're going to keep it at 3D raster, or we could do Z level. It makes no difference. I like both. It depends on your preference. I'll use the 3D raster, and we're going to go 90-degree angle. You can change it to whatever angle you would like. I'm going to hit calculate. There it is. And we're going to preview this. So there's your roughing pass. Now you see all of this distance between here and here. This will allow your collet to clear the wood when it's coming down to cut your profile. Just in case you're using a really thick piece of wood and you're afraid that maybe your bit isn't going to be long enough and your collet might hit this wood. So now we're going to do our finish pass, and I've got my tapered ball nose I'm going to show you. So I've got my tapered ball nose. It's a 1/4 inch shank. The side angle is 10 degrees. The tip radius is 0.015 inches. It's smaller than a 16th, slightly smaller than a 16th. It's in between a 16th and a 1/32 tip. 2 flutes, and I'm going to change this to 8%, 19,000 RPMs, and I'm going to run it at 200 inches a minute with a 200 inch plunge. Because we're only taking off a very little amount, it'll handle this without any issues whatsoever. We're going to hit OK, and I'm going to use a selected vector. Make sure it's highlighted. It is. I'm going to do a boundary offset of 0.1. What that does is it's going to take the bit, it's going to go all the way down and past the model 0.1 of an inch. It's going to leave a really nice clean edge. So we'll calculate that. Okay, so now it's calculated it, all in blue, as you can see. Now we will reset both of them, and we will preview all. So here's the roughing. Now it's coming in with the finish pass. As you see, if I come in close, it's only carving this little amount. So you can go really fast. It's not going to hurt this bit. And you're going to get a very nice clean carve because I'm using 8% step over. So there you go. So now you see that 0.1 offset. What it did is it brought it all the way down here and out at 0.1 of an inch past your model. So now we're going to do a profile. So we got our vector selected. Take our profile. Now, your piece of wood is 3/4 of an inch. If you just do Z or 3/4 or 0.75, it's going to start carving from pretending to carve from all the way at the top, but it doesn't need to. There's a whole bunch of wood that's already gone. So instead of air carving, I'm going to change this to 0.5 inches, and then I'm only going to add 0.25. So that's a total of 3/4 of an inch. And then, so basically the bit's going to plunge down 0.5 inches and then start carving. And I'll show you what it looks like. And we're going to do outside line. I'm using a compression bit. I'm not going to use an 1/8 inch. We're going to use a 1/4 inch. We will use a 1/4 inch. Select it. Outside line. I don't need to do a separate last pass. I will add tabs later, but now I'm not going to because I'm going to show you. I'm going to add ramps, and I'm also going to add a lead, and I'll use a straight lead. And I'm going to have it start right at the corner. So you can do that by going start at, and you can choose anywhere you want it to start. I'm going to keep it right there. So we're good, and I'm going to calculate it. Now, what I want you to see is if I come down here and show you, the bit starts down here and it only does one pass. So that might be a little deep. So let's change that. So we're going to change this. We'll do 0.25 and we'll do this 0.5. Let's calculate that again. Now, as you see, it's starting here. It's going to take 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 passes there. So let's see what it looks like. I'll slow it way down and we'll preview it. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. See, there it goes. So it saves us a bunch of time by not starting up at the top. And if you look at it, you can look at our times. And the times are, it's 7 hours. Now that's because the roughing only took 27 minutes. The finish pass took 7 hours. And that's because we're using a small bit. So because of the size, we can try changing the bit and see if we can get good results with less time. So we're going to reset, close this all, and let's go into our finish pass and let's try just try a we'll try the Skinny Jenny, which is a 1/16 of an inch bit. We're going to select that. Going to remove this other one. And we're going to calculate it. Now we're going to see how it looks. I'm picky about the way things look. So I'm going to reset. And I'm just going to run this one just to see how it looks. Let's speed this up. So I lose detail. You can try it, but I'm a perfectionist. I don't like it because it doesn't give you enough. It doesn't show enough of it. You get some detail, but some down in here you don't get it. So I don't like that bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this and I'm going to use that 10 degree again. But what I'm going to do is I will speed it up. I'm going to select it and then I'm going to edit it and I'm going to go 300. Let's go 350, 350, and I'll go to 9%. Or I'll keep it at 9%. Let's calculate that. Okay, now let's run it. Undo last, preview visible. Okay, we know we're going to get a good carve because we saw it before. And look at the difference in the detail. You get all this spectacular detail. Everything is clean. The trees are even clean. In between the legs, everything. So let's see what the time is for now. We dropped it down to 3 hours. So 4 hours. So as far as I'm concerned, for a 10-inch model, that's pretty good. And you're not going to have any sanding. So that's the whole point. Let the machine do the work. You can do other things. Come back, you just need to clean up with very little bit of sanding and you're done. So there you go. Thanks for your time and let me know how things go with everybody's carves.